Hello, this is Mr. Chabry, and I've got another battle for you. So this is a team that I really want to try out. I do have a Alolan Marowak on this team, and I really want to try out a Alolan Marowak here. My opponent's got some scary Pokemon, the Tapu Koko and the Lucario. Both of them are pretty scary Pokemon, and here I'm going to lead with the Torkoal. I think Torkoal is the best lead. I can set up Stealth Rocks, as my opponent ends up leading the Lycanroc. So I'm going to go ahead, set up the Drought. I know this is not the best matchup, but what I'm hoping is that Torkoal can live a hit. So I'm going to actually stay in, go for the Stealth Rocks, as my opponent goes for the Stone Edge. And Torkoal actually ends up living that, so that just gives you an idea of how nice Torkoal's defenses are. I've got the Stealth Rocks up now, and I think Torkoal is actually going to be pretty good to keep alive. So I'm going to go into Slowbro. This is my physical wall, and it should be able to take any hit this thing wants to throw at it. And looking at that, yeah, this thing can take a lot of physical attacks. So I'm in a really good position. Of course, Lycanroc's going to go for the Sucker Punch, but Slowbro can take that. We do have Regenerators, so once I switch this thing out, it's going to get a lot of that health back. I just go for the Psychic there and get the crit. I'm slowly trying to whittle this thing down. And yeah, that crit really is nice. And right now we're going to get hit with a Stone Edge here. And unfortunately, my opponent gets the crit. So that crit really mattered there, seeing how much Stone Edge did the first turn. Yeah, the crit really did matter there. Now I'm going to bring out my Venusaur, and this is a Chlorophyll Venusaur. It's also my Mega, but for this turn I'm going to go ahead, take advantage of the Chlorophyll, and just outspeed this thing and get the Giga Drain. So now my opponent's going to bring out the Lucario, and like I said before, I'm kind of scared of this thing. Getting rid of this Lucario is probably going to be the best thing I can do. So what I'm going to do now is go ahead, Mega Evolve. That will help boost up my defenses, plus boost up my special attack, and I do have Hidden Power Fire on this Venusaur. So I'm going to take an Ice Punch. Luckily Venusaur has the Thick Fat, so Ice Punch does not do that much. And I fire off a Hidden Power Fire in the sun. And that's not going to be enough to finish off the Lucario, but I'm actually in an okay position here, seeing how much that did. And my opponent's going to go for the Bullet Punch. Venusaur takes that like a champ and finishes off the Lucario. So there goes one of the scariest Pokemon on my opponent's team. I'm glad to get rid of that thing. It was a very scary Pokemon. But now my opponent's going to bring in the Flygon. And Flygon's still a pretty scary Pokemon. I'm not as scared of this thing as a lot of Pokemon on my opponent's team. But yeah, Flygon is actually a pretty decent Pokemon. Instead of going for the Dragon Dance there, my opponent just goes for Dragon Claw, trying to get some damage on my Venusaur. I just go ahead, use the Giga Drain. The Giga Drain is probably the best thing to go for here, since it is neutral on my opponent's Flygon, and I get some health back in the process. So now my opponent's actually going to go for the Dragon Dance here, get the speed and the attack boost. I'm going to go ahead and fire off another Giga Drain, get some more health back, and the Flygon actually lives with what looks like 1 HP, so that is really unfortunate for me. But luckily Venusaur does have really nice bulk, and even at +1, the Dragon Claw does not do that much to Venusaur. And I just finished this thing off with a Giga Drain. So now we have taken care of this Flygon. MegaVenusaur is looking really good, and now my opponent's going to bring out the Mimikyu. So yeah, I'm kind of nervous about the Mimikyu. I know I'm going to have to break its disguise before I can do any damage. So what I'm going to do is keep my Venusaur alive. This thing is a very, very useful Pokemon here. It's my best answer to my opponent's Tapu Koko. And I'm going to bring out my Torkoal, because Torkoal should be able to take maybe 1 attack, as it does take the Shadow Claw there. So now I'm just going to go ahead, go for Lava Plume. And actually Torkoal does not live the second Shadow Claw, not with a crit. I don't think the crit mattered, because, yeah, my poor Torkoal was already at a pretty low amount of health. And now I've got the sun up, I'm just going to bring back out my Venusaur as my opponent goes for the Swords Dance. Right now what I'm trying to do is get some sort of damage on this thing. I'm going to use the sun first to get a Synthesis up, try to get my health back up, because this thing is at +2, and I want to have my Venusaur at full health, so that way I can take as many hits as I have to. And unfortunately my opponent's going to get another Swords Dance, so this is something that I'm not looking forward to taking. I'm just going to go ahead, fire off a Sludge Bomb. I have a chance to get the poison, and I do get the poison, so that's really the best possible thing that could happen there. Even though this Mimikyu is now at +4, getting the poison will help put some pressure on this Mimikyu. And my opponent actually has the red card on the Mimikyu, so that's pretty interesting. Unfortunately, Bronzong is going to be the Pokemon drug out, and I'm not so sure that Bronzong can take a +4 Shadow Claw, but I'm just going to sack it off because I don't think Bronzong's really going to do that much for me in this battle. So I'm just going to go ahead, sack this thing off, let the Mimikyu take some more poison damage, and then I'm going to try to bring something in to revenge kill this Mimikyu. And that's what I'm going to do with this Honchkrow. I'm just going to bring it in, go for the Sucker Punch. I'm hoping Sucker Punch does take out the Mimikyu, as it does, so that's really nice. Honchkrow pulling through here, getting a nice Moxie boost also, so that's really going to help. Luckily, we have gotten rid of that Mimikyu that was at +4, and that's really what I needed Honchkrow to do in that situation. So now my opponent's going to bring out the Tapu Koko, and like I said before, this thing is kind of scary. My opponent does have another Pokemon in the back, so now I'm going to bring out my Venusaur. Venusaur is the best Pokemon at taking these Thunderbolts that are coming towards it, and really that's one of the main reasons I wanted to get that Synthesis up earlier in the sunlight, so that way I would be able to live Thunderbolts. But now my opponent's going to go for Hidden Power, and I think that ends up being Hidden Power Ice. It's not going to do that much since I do have the Thick Fat ability, and I just go for a Sludge Bomb. That will finish off the Tapu Koko. So this Pokemon that I was very scared of from the team preview, I've taken it out. So now my opponent brings out their last Pokemon, and that ends up being this Mega Banette. I'm pretty sure it's a Mega. Most of the time when you come across the Banette online, it's a Mega Banette. So he's going to go ahead, Mega Evolve this thing, and I'm in a really good position. Even if this thing does go for Destiny Bond, I still have some more Pokemon in the back, so I will be able to finish this thing off. It actually has Phantom Force, which is something that I haven't seen that much on Banettes, but I'm still in a very good position. Just keep attacking this thing. Even with Destiny Bond, I will finish this thing off. I do have more Pokemon in the back, as I have said. So we're going to go ahead, hit this thing with a Giga Drain, and we're in a really good position. Unfortunately, I'm going to have to take another Phantom Force, but I'm still in a pretty good position. If Venusaur does end up going down here, I still do have 2 more Pokemon in the back, and they will be able to revenge kill this Banette. So, of course, Venusaur is going to take the Phantom Force and ends up going down to that. So, unfortunately, Venusaur goes down to that. But I still have Honchkrow, and I do have Sucker Punch on this thing. So, I'm just going to lock myself into the Sucker Punch. There's not much Banette can do, and the Banette will go down. So, in this battle, it was a really good battle. Unfortunately, we didn't even get to see the Alolan Marowak in action. But maybe in the next set of battles, Alolan Marowak will make more of a presence. That's what I'm really hoping for. And if you like this, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, and I will see you in the next battle video.